just said that God closed your womb. Um, but Elkema still loved Hannah more. Uh, and every year back then they would go up, like they would go down to the temple, and they would, uh, yeah, they would like have an offering of sacrifice to God, and then like every time that they went there, then would like make fun of Hannah and just like say like, oh, she didn't like, oh, you can't have kids, like blah blah. Like I don't know, it doesn't say how she said it, but it would just say that she would keep like taunting like Hannah, and then that happened for years and years. Like they would go once a year only, but like every year it says year after year they would go, and Penina would make fun of her, and then one time, this last time Hannah got sick of it and went to the temple and started just like praying and like crying out to God, saying like, can you please give me a son? Because if you do, I'll I'll give him to you. Like he'll be like for the church. Like he can live there. And then while she was praying, this guy named Eli um, that lived at the temple too. He said, oh, like, because she was like, when she was praying, she looked like she was drunk, like she was like crying, and like she was saying things but like silently, so it was just her mouth moving. And he was like, oh, like stop drinking. I think I even highlighted it. He's like, how long will you keep on getting drunk? Get rid of your wine. And then she was saying how she wasn't even that she wasn't drunk, and that she was just like crying out to God, pouring out her soul. And then when she told Eli that, Eli was like, okay, you can go home and, and you can go home and like you'll have a son, like God will give you a son. And the thing I liked about that, like when she prayed, she wanted a kid really bad, but she was just like specific about it. Like she said she wanted a son because, and then I asked my mom like if men were more important than women, and she said that like back then, like the only thing like a woman was good for was having kids. So then she basically said like the men were like the more like dominant, like the better thing to have was a boy. So then like she was specific in what she was praying. And the thing I liked about it too, like that, not that I liked about it, but that my mom like brought to me was that the one time she prayed, God, like Eli was like, okay, go home, you have a son. Like imagine if she would have done that like years before, she wouldn't have to go through all those years suffering and like God or having Penina making fun of her all those years and her getting mad. But the one time she like stood up for herself and was like, no, like God's gonna change this. Like she went to the church and started praying. I'm sure you know it. God like finally gave it to her. And then like something that God was telling me, like while I was reading, it was like, yeah, if you want something to happen, like start crying out to me now. Like don't wait years and years until like you finally hit your breaking point and do something. Like Johnny wants to play soccer, like start going for it now. Like do like everything you can, go practice like 100%. I don't know what you guys want to do, whatever you guys want to do. Just like don't wait year after year of like doing nothing, or not doing nothing, but like having nothing, like no goal, or like go after like whatever it is like you have your mind on. And like that thing was impossible for her. Like God closed her womb, and she like changed, like she didn't change God, but God was like, wow, she really wants it like really bad, so I'm gonna give it to her. And then what else did I write? Oh yeah. And then she had the kid, and she did what she promised God. She gave him to the church, and he lived there with Eli. And Eli was a priest that lived there and took care of him. And Samuel lived there. And oh yeah, and one time he was laying down, like I think about to go to sleep, and he hears a voice saying Samuel. And then he gets up and like goes to Eli, the priest that lived there, and he was like, hey, did you call me? And Eli was like, no, I didn't call you. He was like, just like go back to sleep. He went back, and then he heard it again, Samuel. And that happened 3 times. On the third time, uh, Eli was like, "Oh, okay, it's God like calling him." So he went and he went back. He said, and then Eli said, "Go back, and whenever he calls again, say, here I am. Here I am. You called me." And then something that I wrote down here too, like that. I always hear about this, but I never thought about it. Like we always hear like think about God talking to us in dreams or like prophecies, but I've never thought about it. Like, can you imagine laying down and like you hear like Kevin, Kevin, and then I go to like my parents and I'm like, what, you call me? And it was God. Like that's something like that I never even thought about. And I always hear about Samuel and like God literally talked out loud to him. So like if you did it here, you can do it now too. So like and the reason he called Samuel was to tell him, oh yeah, Eli had 2 sons, and those 2 sons were like, they were bad sons, and they were, it was because they were doing like bad things in the temple. Like whenever the thing that I said about the year after year, they would give the sacrifices, the sons would go and like, they would get like they were supposed to like boil the meat first or something, and then they would take and then like when you put a fork down and whatever comes up would be theirs, but they would just like say like, give me the whole thing. They wouldn't like just get the fork. And then Eli knew about that, the guy, their dad that lived there, and he didn't do anything about it. So God told Eli, like God said that he was gonna like punish Eli. He was gonna judge his family forever because of the sin he knew about. His sons made themselves contemptible, and he failed to restrain them. It says that in Samuel 3:13. And then so Eli knew that he wasn't supposed, like he knew the bad things that his sons were doing, and he wouldn't do anything about it. So then God like judged his family, but before that, like he gave Samuel, like he was calling Samuel to tell him, to give him a vision that like of what he was gonna do with Eli's family. And something else that I like thought was cool, or that I thought was different that I never thought about, was that it said Samuel, like even with God giving him the vision, and Samuel lived at the church, he did all these like good things, and he still didn't know. It says now Samuel didn't know it was God calling him because he didn't know God yet. It says now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not been revealed to him. So it's basically saying he didn't know God because like he didn't read the Bible. And back then there was like a Bible, but it was like only the Old Testament, my mom said. And so like something that I liked about like my mom doing this was that like it got me into like studying a lot more. Like I never studied this hard, like for a Bible. Like I never read it like this into detail, and like asking like Holy Spirit to talk to me through everything that I read. And like I feel like not that I know God more, but that like basically knowing God more, like getting closer to him, just like seeing a different like I had never even thought about God speaking out loud. I knew Samuel's life, but like never this into detail. And like now that I studied it this hard, like it'll never leave. Like whenever someone's like, oh, do you know anything about Samuel? If they ask a question, like I'll know right away. And then but like going back to the story, after after he told Eli, he's like, God showed me a vision that he was gonna like judge your whole family because you did this and this and this, and he explained to him. And then Eli said that he is the Lord, let him do what's good in his eyes. Like Eli wasn't wasn't scared or anything, but he knew he did wrong, so he knew like that God was gonna punish him anyways. And still Samuel didn't know God until like years, like the Lord was with Samuel as he grew up. So like I feel like, because it says this after it said that he had the vision. So like I'm guessing he was pretty young, and then as he grew up, um, the Lord was with him, and he still didn't know him until um, at Shiloh there was one time, and that there was one time that God revealed himself to Samuel through his word, and then that's basically like all I have here. But I just I'll pray that like with this we can like, and with this thing that my mom's doing of us like preaching, that we can actually like study more. And then now, like, even if I'm not preaching next time, like, I'm still gonna study like as if I was, like, because this helped me a lot. And I just pray that well, I know that God gave me Samuel because like I'm always at church and stuff, but like I feel like I wasn't really close to God. And then here it literally says that Samuel lived at church. God gave him visions and everything. He didn't know God because he didn't read the Bible. He didn't. God didn't never revealed himself to Samuel through his word. So I just I hope that this study just shows you guys how important the Bible is, and that you guys can be prepared for next time, for your guys' turn. And yeah, that's it.